Hey guys, Thomas here. So last month I asked you what you'd want me to review next, and out of every goddamn anime in existence on this planet, you chose this. Why? 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 Let me continue what I started in the intro. Why? Why? Why does this exist exactly? Who gave the permission for such a show to grace the land that we know as Earth? Today I'll be reviewing Uma Musume Pretty Derby lit. Wait, that can't be right. Literal translation, yeah. You bested me again, Wikipedia. Now, from the get-go, I have to think, is this a fetish anime? Because it has horse girls in it, but they're less on the horse side and more on the actual people side who like butt plugs and neko ears. Yeah, no, I'm not going that far. So, a good classification that I just made up on the spot right now to decide if a show has weird main protagonists to heighten story or heighten something else is to determine if there's a use for the niche that they're bringing. Do the fact that their horses add anything special? Not necessarily. Do the horses give a more symbolic meaning that humans couldn't? Nope. If you replaced horses with humans, would anything change? Honestly, yeah, they'd have to change the whole racing track to be a different kind of racing track, but those are still pretty much cosmetic changes that don't add anything valuable to the core values. Do they at least have any interspecies love to make you think about the inner workings of humanity and how messed up it would be to give birth to a... No. Though, if this takes place in the world of horse racing, if one of them hits the ground and breaks a leg or something, are there specially appointed people who come with guns and shoot them down on the spot? No fun allowed here. So, in conclusion, it didn't pass my made-up test. This show is an empty shell. You could literally slip anything into the roles of the characters and it would work. So, I'd say I pretty much established that it's a fetish anime. But people do have different viewpoints. So I'm curious to know if you also find that the horse parts are kind of just fetishistic in nature, or if they are detrimental to the slice of life part. And I'm not saying that fetish anime are bad, I'm just like, why do they exist? -1 point for that. But let's put the previous aside. What breaks or makes an anime for me is the story. I'd watch literal shit move around if it had a story that captures my attention, but you can give me all the visuals in existence and I'd still fall asleep if there's nothing important going on. So if you take away the niche of horse girls, all you got left is a sports anime slash slice of life anime. And I have to say that the slice of life part is truly mediocre. The moral of the story is friendship. Kinda? Of course it's not that obvious, but there really isn't any moral here either. Maybe it's that if you can't make it, run faster or shit. That's the basis of every slice of life, and UMPD doesn't deviate much from the norm. Our main character is a super happy-go-lucky girl who was raised in the countryside, and all she wanted to do was to be like the horses she saw on TV and run. Then she met up with other characters and ran. She had basic hardships that you see in every show, except they missed one crucial plot point, where the main protagonist has a falling out with one of her friends. That's a trope they usually like to have in shows, but I guess they didn't have time for it here. So on the slice of life part, it's super generic, but half of the show is dedicated to sports, and we get a decent amount of time spent around learning running, practicing, competing, etc. But it's running. You can't make it that interesting, and they really haven't. The teachings consist mostly of teaching the girls super basic things like, oh, if you run behind others, you can save strength by being in a slipstream, or if you take smaller steps uphill, then you can go faster, and play off those things like super secret special attacks that have been passed down from families for centuries. I know it's hard to shonenize running, but these days you can really make a shonen out of everything, and the thing is that they have tried it here, but they've only come up with pretty much one special attack, and that is stomping your leg a bit harder to go faster. It's time to activate my special ability. That really didn't do anything. I don't know what I was expecting. How sucky do you have to be that I start thinking back on how awesome was Keijo? I never thought I'd revisit that anime, but my mind made me go back and actually started replaying episodes of that show instead in my head, because they're close to being the same show. Girls in dorms, working in teams and or by themselves, having little competitions and progressing with their work, the main girl having somebody to look up to and then finally competing with them together, etc. But when it came to the sports part, Keijo managed to deliver something interesting and worthwhile. Here, it's pretty obvious why some are faster than others. You see those guys? They're slanted forward. No shit, they're faster if you're running straight. This isn't goddamn Ere Neri. This is Devilman Crybaby. Now, before you go on commenting that I hate everything, well, that's not true. There is something that I do like, and it's the characters. Everybody is colorful and memorable. The cast is huge, but they're super unforgettable. Like with a lot of the shows, you wouldn't have any idea who was who after the cast reaches a capacity of over 5 characters. But here, I had 100% understanding of who anybody was and what their role was. Even though the show consists of like 15 different characters. I'd say that's a feat close to impossible with my feeble mind, yet they managed to do it. So big props for good character design. Now hold your horses. You see what that, yeah. No. I have to say this or somebody else will whine in the comments because it's kinda important and yet it's not. This anime is based on real horses and real events that have happened. I'm not joking, the horses with those names exist and the races depicted are also based on stuff that has happened. But who cares? If you have boring stuff and you make a boring show, it's still gonna be boring. And I highly doubt that the main demographic that they're aiming for was horse racing fanatics who are into anime. Though on the other hand, I do think this is a nice touch and adds some novelty to it, so +1 point from me. Now, I am back to the point of why? Why does this exist? Okay, yeah, I see how it is. It's a show meant to promote an upcoming mobile game. Oh, god damn it. Yes, it's another goddamn interruption. I also have to mention that it's an idol anime, somehow. Because the horse girls who win the race have to put on a show for an audience. Like it's tradition in Japan or something. But I can't handle that at this point, so screw it. It's not really worth mentioning any further. Honestly, I lost any sort of investment I had in this show halfway through. And by the time I reached the final episode, I was zoning out hard. But not hard enough, because the final episode is the cheesiest shit you've ever seen, and I'm gonna spoil it because you deserve to know. So they have a final competition where everybody is competing against each other, and they all fucking won. Every single one of it's a photo finish of everybody finishing at the same time. That's not how you make a good finale. So a mediocre slice of life and a below average sports show. It's a 5 out of 10, and honestly I'm only giving it the average because it has good characters. But let me whore out a bit for likes and I promise you it'll be worth it. So if this video reaches 100 likes, then I'll review an anime that has over 100 episodes. And if it doesn't, then well, I'll just review another like 12 episode crap. It's easier for me. And if you're already down there, then don't forget to hit the subscribe and the notification bell. Or, well, if you have already hit them, then don't, because that would unsubscribe, and we don't want that to happen here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next review.